5-minute mini bursts of practice. I just want to talk for a minute today about how important it is that we practice every day, even if it's only for 5 minutes or even less, rather than practicing for a long time, a big practice session, and not being able to do that with consistency every day. So I see a lot of people talking about not having enough time, work keeps them from practice, and I'm super familiar with this feeling and with this idea. Also with when you are practicing and maybe you do have time to practice, feeling like you have too much music to practice even if you have 2 hours to work. And so learning how to have really good attitudes about the work we have to do, how to actually practice well. And sometimes when we put this pressure on ourselves, I think it makes us practice poorly, where we could have accomplished more if we didn't feel pressured and didn't feel out of time. So one thing that I think is super helpful is to just tell yourself, I have time. I have enough time to get what I need to get done. What the things that are important are going to get done. So let's take that pressure off and just remind yourself I have time. And this helps too when you're playing a faster passage and you feel rushed into the next note or the next section, to remind yourself that you have time for the notes will help you play the notes better as well. It just takes that tension away and enables us to be as good as we are able to be, rather than putting unneeded pressure on that actually sabotages what we're trying to do. So 5-minute mini bursts of practice is something that I think almost anybody has time for, and it's something that I've tried incorporating recently as I read a book that reminded that repetition is what really makes practice stick with you. And so if you do 5 minutes of work on your tricky passage in the morning, and then you do 5 minutes right before lunch, and maybe you do 5 minutes on an afternoon break and 5 minutes after dinner, you just hit that, I think, 5 times in one day, where 5 times of good practicing on that little spot. And that's going to be more effective than having spent 30 minutes all at once working that section super hard, because then you would only be reminding your mind and your muscles and your fingers with that repetition for one period of time instead of constant reminders sprinkled through the day. So I think sometimes we just simply put too much pressure on ourselves with time, with long practices, with big sections of music, with playing the passage fast enough, different things where we're just truly inflicting pressure on ourselves. And if we can eliminate that pressure and be like, I'm just going to practice for 5 minutes, or I do have time to play these notes and get to the next one, whatever it might be. But I would just encourage you to try this out. Instead of picking up your phone to browse social media, which we all do often throughout the day, at least most of us do, instead of picking that phone up to go browse social media or whatever it is you might do on your phone, grab your violin for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, doesn't matter, and just play for just a little tiny bit. And throughout a week, I think you'll be surprised at how much you can accomplish with that little tiny burst of practice sprinkled through your day.